If you want to play Neo Geo, there are many different ways nowadays, but the Neo Geo X was a very interesting story. In collaboration between multiple companies creating the Neo Geo X. However, this wasn't an, let's say, great final product with a lot of potential, but they completely messed up, and that is quite unfortunate. Because now when I'm making this video, when it comes to products like this, I wish they released like a really nice Neo Geo system with a cartridge slot. But this was more like before Switch time or the Nintendo Switch, and created something that was kind of interesting and maybe ahead of its time. So this was actually a docking station where we had an handheld in the inside. Yep, we can just plug it in, and in this way we can actually play Neo Geo games. But let's plug this thing out, and I can tell you, man, it's not going to be an overall good experience because you need to be very, very careful. For the simple reason, if you're going to be looking up the Neo Geo, sometimes you will find these things with broken ports like the micro USB. And the reason maybe is because this is very fragile, and if you're going to be bashing this thing into the docking, yep, you're going to be destroying your port, and the docking functionality, it's going to be not working anymore. And you know what another thing with this device is that, oh boy, it also needs the charging when it comes to that. But how about the case itself? The overall quality was quite good. If you're going to be looking at, let's say, the plastic and everything, the detail of the logo, I think this was absolutely a very cool piece of equipment if you was getting this back in the day. However, you had two options. You can buy just the kit or the handheld or the complete one in box. And nowadays, as making this video, these things are getting really expensive. And I have no idea why, and I will show you in this video. Okay, so you don't see it because I have a brain fart, wrong angle. Much better. You can actually see over here the power switch. That is actually for just turning it on and off like the original system. At the front we're having two USB ports and of course the switch for opening up. Yeah, the switch possibility to opening up the case. So at the back we're finding the input for the power supply, for charging and also using the docking. We have an AV out, so we can actually use this thing on a CRT and a mini HDMI. And I think the combination is kind of cool. So you can use this in the old school mode, but also you can use it on a modern television. But before we're getting into the controller, let's do a little bit of a chit chat about the device itself, because this is the heart of the system and where all the craziness goes wrong. Because first of all, the back, oh man, ugh, this thing is sticky. So another way you can actually buy what I understand of having this case, and this case is similar to the original Neo Geo systems, and in particular the games where the game were actually this size. It's absolutely awesome. So the Neo Geo X Mega Pack Volume 1, that came with all kinds of cool games, Art of Fighting 3, Blazing Star, and man, the Neo Geo library, in my opinion, has a lot of great games. However, where I love this box itself, so in the inside we're going to be finding, yep, the manual, and the manual was quite extended. They did a lot of effort of like explaining everything about the games, and you're already seeing, yeah, we're having some free stickers. Who doesn't love the free stickers? So beside that, over here we're having the notice, please refer to the Neo Geo X firmware update manual. Yeah, and you know what's kind of funny? Nowadays we do have like an SD card. If you're having the right firmware, you can even update it and implement more emulators. So this thing can even play 8-bit and 16-bit. So the device itself is absolutely a beautiful device, but this is really old technology. The first thing you need to take into consideration if you're getting this, always ask if the battery is still alive, because there's a lithium battery inside, and if you don't charge it and it's going to be, like say, thickening up, having a problem, it can actually like destroy your screen and having a lot of shenanigans going on. The other problem is, like, you can already see it. Oh man, this is going to be one sticky freaking nightmare. That's one of the reasons why I hate like rubberized, keyboards, mouse pad. It doesn't matter. These things get sticky through the years. So over here with the HDMI, because you can actually use this thing plug and play, micro USB. Again, be very gentle with that. The AV out, we're having the shoulder buttons over here, and comfortable wise, this thing is not comfortable at all, or at least the form factor. We are having a lot of devices now from China that actually do the same kind of, let's say, configuration, but they're improving it. First of all, if you're going to be looking into, let's say, the resistance of the micro switch, you can see I'm just putting a lot of force in it. It now finally clicks. So this is just awful. The A, B, C and D buttons are feeling quite nice. I think one of the key features is, of course, the micro switch joystick. Nowadays we do find them on some of the joysticks, but you can see there's not a lot of wiggle room between it, and this is a very pleasant overall experience. I think this was what makes this like the Neo Geo, like similar to the freaking controller. Menu button, start over here, and over here, oh man, it's sticky, volume control, and over here we're having the adjustment for the brightness and headphone jack out. And yeah, when it comes to, like, say, playing the games, this actually worked with just freaking this were like different, yeah, it's a license, it's just a micro SD, or at least an SD card itself, you know. And there's one of the things I didn't really like about it, but let's plug it in. We can just turn it on over here. So I think I've been trying to charge this freaking thing, but I think I need to give this thing a little bit more juice to see if the mine actually still works, because that's been in my storage for some time now. And for a charging moment, I'm trying to be booting up the device itself. The blue LED turns on, but nothing much is really happening when it comes to that. And that's not a good sign. But when making this video, I realized, oh crap, I have a second one. And yep, both will have problems with actually like booting up. So we're going to be letting them charge. Always be super careful with these older batteries, because what I mentioned before is that they can burst, like when it comes to charging. I think it's not going to be something that happens like a lot. We need to always be very careful, because we need to open up to see how the quality is with the battery. But it's kind of interesting. If you're going to be looking at the back over here, you can just see how sticky this one is, but this one isn't. So what actually happened, I have no idea. But if you're going to be trying to boot up, you will see it give me the loading screen all the time. But so out of the box, so this is not going to be happening, anytime soon. But if you wonder what happens if you're going to be plugging this thing into the docking station, powering it on, nothing will happen. But in the meantime, let's do a little bit of a chit chat regarding, let's say, the Neo Geo X controller. I can still remember that you can actually buy one of these things on AliExpress. And yeah, I don't know if you can even buy them now, because it's quite a long time that I've been seeing them online. I think they were like old bash, but the overall quality was quite good. I must say that it was a really enjoyable overall experience, because the joystick was not like 1% authentic. This feels a little bit of a cheap feel. But the buttons were quite nice, and absolutely cool to have this configuration. And of course the USB, you can just plug it in and play the old school games this way. So yeah, it actually happened to me too. The battery is completely wore out, and this is something we're going to be replacing in the future. Maybe a fun video to make, but for now this thing doesn't boot up anymore. It's quite unfortunate, because I think it's a very cool piece of equipment. But if you're going to be paying like 200 plus for it when it comes to the dollars, yeah, I would say think about it again. But after waiting forever, yep, it finally booted up into the HDMI portable mode. You can still see this thing is charging, so I'm just going to be leaving it as it is. We're going to be just playing a little bit of a Neo Geo, and to see if this thing is going to be any fun when it comes to overall emulation. And the signal output, where I'm still using a very small monitor, the overall quality, you can see we're going to be just showcasing it. It's not going to be the best signal output ever. But another problem occurs, and that was actually that my controller didn't work on the docking over there. So what I'm going to be doing is trying to boot this freaking thing up, and it did give me the message like, hey, you need to turn off the device before you're going to be plugging it in. And it didn't give me that message, so I'm guessing there is something wrong with or the docking, or because I switched this one out, or there was something wrong with the device itself. So let's continue with playing on the device itself. This is just like a super chaotic, let's say, video, because there's absolutely a lot of things that goes wrong. Sticky thing, not charging, and if you're going to be docking it, it doesn't always notice the joystick, or at least you can see finally it starts working now. But it's quite unfortunate. You can see that it still struggles with the power. So what we're going to be doing is hooking up to make sure this thing still gets some juice, so we can actually finish this video. And you can just see that there is a lot of problems with this device. Now it's just giving me the loading screen. I'm like, go away, leave me alone. We know that this bloody thing is loading, but let's get into some gaming. Loading times, oh man, you can just see this thing does need a lot of loading time sometimes. But, and again, it's going to be actually booting up. But let's crank up the volume of this thing. Let's lower the brightness, and let us see what's going on. Why does it stop? Oh, it just automatically stops the game when you're going to be cranking up the volume. Wow. Okay, pressing select will bring you back to a special menu. Memory card loads. No, we don't really need that. So if you're going to be just playing the game, I must say the emulation, yeah, what to say about it. I think it's not like super bad. We do have like right screen shenanigans out of the box. I really love the clickies, really satisfying tiny joystick. But in the meantime, I'm actually just charging the other device because I do have the idea there is something wrong with the connection. I can charge the device, but when I'm going to be plugging this thing into the docking, tried 2 dockings, doesn't do anything. And I do know these things will have a problem of failure when it comes to, let's say, the docking and everything else. So I'm always like flabbergasted seeing the Neo Geo X prices, just the people paying it for, because in the end you can just see that it is going to be an absolutely piece of garbage out of the box if you're going to be not using it for a very long time. Switching out the batteries, that would be one of the things that we can actually do. And oh man, I don't know what to do about the sticky part because my fingers are just sticky out thanks to the rubber. Recording is quite challenging because of the front glass being super annoying and reflective. Let's see if we can do any moves. Oof, I need to get used to this. Let's go. Yeah, we can do some moves, but you know, the Microsoft joysticks are not comparable with the original Neo Geo CD controllers. They are way more clicky. I do have the feeling there is a little bit of a dead zone when it comes to that. And as making this video, you're not going to believe it, but my second Neo Geo X is actually started up. I do wonder if I can actually move the joystick or if there's something else going on. I just wanted to switch to the different Neo Geo, but you know, connecting this thing. Come on, go in! It fits with a micro USB, but it doesn't fit with an HDMI. Oh, this thing is like a freaking nightmare. What a piece of junk. Oh, finally, it's in there. And after messing around with different handhelds, different dockings and different controllers, I managed to get the bloody thing to work. Yeah, so actually what I just did is like, I did different modes like turning the device, the handheld on and off. It doesn't really matter with the other one. But I did have the option now to actually play with the controller because this is the way how you want to play when it comes to this Neo Geo X. Yeah, no aspect ratio going on, no quick load, quick save. It is just basic as it can be. I have no idea how to do the super move or whatever. Which doesn't do anything. I don't know what kind of SD card is in here, but can just pull it out. Ah, the original one is in there. I think this one did contain the extra SD card, so let's plug this thing in, and it's down. Let's close it. Okay, so what I actually did is putting this SD card in there. Okay, so we're going to be having all kinds of new games. So we're having now the game card. We can go into the game card, or at least that was the idea. And in here we're finding all of the extra games. Oh man, Art of Fighting 3, Blazing Star. Oh, we're going to be trying a couple of them. And let's see how long it will load up, because this is a way bigger game. And you can see the loading times are not like to the point that's going to be unforgivable, but they're there. It's like these cheap flash cards, you know, you buy them from AliExpress for your 60-bit devices. The same shenanigans. Let's cut it over here. The last part was a little bit faster, so I must give him like the benefit of the doubt when it comes to loading times. Art of Fighting is absolutely one of my favorite games to play when it comes to this system. So let's go. Where the joystick is feeling slightly different of the original controller. I just fell right up into the slap. Can I do the flying kick? Nope, wrong button. Ah, that was the one. But the weird thing is, like, the menu button doesn't really work. So what I need to do is actually open up this bloody thing, press the menu button, and then I can get out of the game. Yeah. What a mess, what a mess, what a mess, absolutely. But the thing I want to do, seriously, I need to get into the memory card or the SD card, Oh, it does load up. So let's try some Blazing Star, another great shmup. But yeah, that's the question. If you're going to be finding a Neo Geo X, you can pick it up for not a lot of money. It does actually boot up. You can just enjoy yourself some Neo Geo games. I don't know if there is a full library of this. I know there are some libraries of actually like some games with some different emulators, so you can play some 8-bit, 16-bit. But are you going to be spending so much money playing that on a device like this with so many problems, or at least that I have noticed? Because we have like very cheap devices now. It's absolutely cool. You can play with the Neo Geo stick. I know there's a lot of cool things out there with the docking. I mean, particularly when it comes to, let's say, a Pi built-in. That's one of the things that we can still maybe do in the future with one of these dockings. But emulation-wise, I can enjoy it when it comes to this. The Neo Geo X is a kind of cool system, but when you can see throughout this video, it did came with a lot of problems. Not, let's say, working or at least charging system. And if the battery is dead, it didn't even boot up. I'm like, what's going on? Just skip the freaking battery and just boot up the system. The controller is very comfortable to play. The overall signal output, it's not the best one I've ever seen out there, but it's enjoyable. I think if you can find one of these things for not a lot of money, I think it can be a very fun thing to own in your collection. But you should consider when it comes to the problems like the sticky back and, you know, the batteries that can be completely wore out. The overall display is not the, let's say, the IPS panel we've seen now with the cheap Chinese devices. So, and oh man, the sticky back is absolutely horrible. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments what do you think of a product like this, and it would be great to see you in the next video.